views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, and welcome to Higher TV. I'm your host, Christopher Sanchez. Animation, a beautiful medium that allows for amazing stories to be told through phenomenal aesthetics, meaningful themes, and talented voice actors, all working in unison to immerse the viewers into a world of delight. We all remember that our first time sitting down watching a cartoon that we enjoyed, being mesmerized by its colors and the fluid animation movements. But what about creating your own cartoon that resonates with people in many different ways? Well, that's exactly what one particular individual in his small group has done thus far with a very special project. It is my honor to introduce the very talented self-artist slash animator, Wisdom Nunn, the creator of the YouTube animated series, Bob's World. Welcome to the show, Wisdom. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing fine, doing great. So let's get right into it. Wisdom, before we begin, I'd just like to say happy 1 year anniversary to Bob's World. That's a great
Thank you.
milestone for you and your team. I can't wait to see what you guys do down the line. So with that being said, for the viewers out there who've never seen Bob's World, let alone heard of it, tell us what exactly is Bob's World about and what spawned the idea for you to create the series?
Yeah, so Bob's World is about these two brothers named Bob and Fred, and they're going on this adventure while the main character, Bob, is struggling to find a way back to his parents, basically, and there's this orb that comes down and it sparks a lot of confusion to the town and the main characters, and they have to figure out the mysteries.
Nice. So with that being said, I would just like to, I think it's time for the viewers to take a gander at the opening sequence that you animated with your team for Bob's World, as well as the band. Before the viewers take a listen to this, anything you want to say about the intro sequence?
Yeah, I'm so happy that the intro is done. I've been wanting to show that for months on end. We started that back in January of this year, and we had to put it on hold because we were working on episode 2 and stuff like that in production. It's such a beautiful, just visually it's beautiful, and the music's amazing. I love it so much, and I'm so proud of everyone who worked on it. It's just amazing. I smile every time I watch it.
Great. So let's play that clip right now.
Shout out to my siblings Cadence, Matty, Bennett, and me, Wisdom. We made the music for the theme song of Bob's World, and we are none above.
Connection, light the sky on fire, attraction.
You made the Bob's World pilot at the age of 15. That's both impressive and inspiring. But I'd like to point out something to the viewers out there. Animation is very costly, as it roughly costs around $300,000 to make one single episode, professionally speaking. So tell us, what exactly was the production process like for the first episode of Bob's World? What was your manpower, your budget, and any other obstacles that you and your team had to overcome?
Yeah, so the pilot was animated, and all the backgrounds and all the animation was done by me, while the second episode was done by me and my team. I didn't have a budget at the time. It was just this project in my room on my desk. I just do something every day. It took I think 15 months to complete on my own, and with post-production with my mom and the writing duo with my sister and I. It was a very interesting process.
Nice. So you kind of touched upon episode 2. That's supposed to lead me to my next question. So the experience, what have you learned throughout your experience in the production of episode 1 to basically make the production of episode 2 go as smoothly as possible as it can be?
I've had to like learn about like trusting people, like doing their thing. I've noticed that when you let people do their own thing without like being a kind of micromanager, it the overall project, like the what am I thinking of? The production in general is a lot better than you'd think it would be. Because I struggle with that a lot. Earlier I'd be like, oh, I'm not sure if I should be more like telling like controlling of what creative freedom should be like, or if I should just like dial it back on my end. And dialing it back has been nice because the stuff that the crew always brings like makes me laugh, and it's just really special.
Yeah, you're definitely talking about some stuff that they have to do in the industry, whether or not letting the creative freedom flow, or not. You at least you're getting there, Vet. That's really good to hear. So, how about fan feedback? How has fan feedback contributed to the growth of your work and the team?
It's been so like incredible. I love all the fan art that I see on like Twitter and Instagram. It makes me smile a lot. I've seen like negative stuff as well, but I don't really think about it that much. And yeah, I'm really blessed. I'm truly blessed to be in this spot.
Okay, nice. So you're a self-taught animator and artist. What got you into animation, and how did you teach yourself the craft?
Yeah, I think I don't exactly remember the first like animated piece of media I watched, but I think like learning the process behind it, and it's like I think it's so funny that it takes an hour just to make 1 second of anime to draw all that stuff, and I'm like that's kind of funny. And I wonder like the what goes into that, what's the process like, and all the behind the scenes stuff when it comes to the process of animation is really interesting to me.
So how did you teach yourself the craft, and like what programs did you use to teach yourself?
Yeah, so the program that I used on the pilot was called Pencil 2D. It's a free software that you can get on like Windows and Apple. And the program that I use now is called Clipsio Paint. It's a little bit expensive, but it's very nice. And learning curve for Pencil 2D was really easy because it has a really like just simple interface. And it's a really great start for beginner animators. It's great.
So if you guys are out there, you want to do animation, take his advice. Go on pencil. What was it called again?
Pencil 2D. I'm not sure if it's like a mobile thing. I know that Flipperclip is a great mobile animation thing, but I think Pencil 2D is only for computer stuff.
Okay, got it. So in the grand scheme of things, let's talk about Bob's World's future and even your future as well. What do you see yourself doing with Bob's World later on in life? Do you see yourself pitching it to a network, or what's with that?
Yeah, I definitely see myself pitching stuff to networks with when it comes to Bob's World like content. Right now, like my goal is to like finish the first season. We want to like make like 10 episodes and put it out to the public and like make a second season and other things along the way that I don't really can't really talk about. But yeah.
Nice. So again, you're 16 and you create your own pilot at the age of 15. I just want to say that's a testament to that creativity is limitless and that age is really just a number in this aspect. But there are people who are your age, my age, younger, even older than us, who want to tell stories, but they feel like it's not their time yet. And they keep making these excuses that uh, they're never going to be able to tell it because they feel like they're too young or they're too old. But I want to say again, you created this pilot at the age of 15 and you have a whole future ahead of yourself. So, what would you say to aspiring storytellers out there who are dealing with this concept of time, saying that they're never going to be able to get something done because, well, they just feel like it's not their time yet? What advice do you have to individuals like that?
Yeah, simply I don't think you should ever think like that. You should always be pushing to drive for like a goal. And you should don't wait. You should always like try to do something every day or have like a motive to really push you through. I think for me, like I make a lot of goals for myself, like in between the process. I make dates, I set like production dates and due dates and stuff like that. And that really helps for me. I think for anyone, it doesn't really matter. You need to just think about what you're trying to tell, like the story you're trying to tell and why you want to tell it, and what inspires you to do that, and just like keep running it in your head.
Beautifully said. So, You just recently celebrated Bob's World's 1 year anniversary. How did it feel like knowing that 1 year already passed so quickly?
It did not feel like 1 year. I was like, I wasn't really in a conversation, but a friend of mine on Twitter was like, wow, it does not feel like a year. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't. It feels like just a month ago I put it on YouTube. And I guess it's because I've just been so busy with working on the other episodes and stuff like that. But yeah, it's crazy. It's mind blowing. I didn't really think it would get this big right now. And I'm truly grateful.
Definitely agree with you on that. Does not feel like 1 year. When you posted that tweet, I was like, wait a minute. November 2020 was last year. That feels like it was yesterday. You were just talking about it
Yeah.
yesterday. You were just talking about it with Rad Secrets like a couple weeks ago. Like, what's going on? Okay, so before we end, what do you have any exclusive content that you would like to share to the viewers out there, including your own fans who are watching this interview regarding Bob's World?
Yeah, we have. Well, I brought I think 3 screenshots for episode 3.
Nice. So, what should we be expecting in episode 3? Like a little glimpse, like a little explanation.
It picks up from where things left on off at episode 2. I guess like spoilers if you didn't watch the episode, but they have to think about how they're gonna stop this orb if they like tears up the town or not, and how they're gonna deal with that mess. So
Oh, there you have it. That's good. So that's great. So well, there you have it, folks. Once again, my deepest gratitude for your appearance on our show, Wisdom.
thank you so much.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you so much for the time giving us an in-depth understanding of Bob's World production, as well as what's coming down forward. I'm excited for what you and your team are gonna be doing later down in your life. I mean, I even imagine about the things that you're gonna be doing at the age of 21, even older. Just imagine the amount of resources that you'll have and how much you're going to improve as an artist. I'm so excited for that.
Thank you.
So for viewers out there, please make sure to follow Wisdom Nut on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And don't forget to watch Bob's World on YouTube and hit that subscribe button on Wisdom's channel. It's a really great story being told with a lot of talented individuals working in that process. And with that being said, I'm your host, Christopher Sanchez of Higher TV. And remember, stay watching cartoons, tell that story you want to tell, and I'll see you around.
Welcome to Higher TV, a show by young adults for young adults. I'm Natalie Lato, your host for today's segment. According to the National Financial Educators Council, financial illiteracy costs Americans about $1,500 in 2020 and more than $450 billion nationally. It's plain and simple. Whether in college or recently graduated, starting a financial educational journey is beneficial to your pocket. Joining us to help us navigate budgeting, savings, and more, please welcome the Director of Educational Outreach at Next Gen Personal Finance and the creator of the popular YouTube channel, Miss Be Helpful, Yaneli Espinal. Welcome, Yaneli, to the show.
Thank you for having me today. I'm so excited to talk about money.
Exactly, money it is. And a lot of times us college students, we don't know how to manage ourselves with money. But before we get into that, I'd love to dig in deeper into your story and how you got started.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Brooklyn. My parents are Dominican immigrants, so didn't really speak any English when they moved to New York City. They didn't know anybody really there, and they were just trying to figure it all out. So our family grew very quickly. I have 8 brothers and sisters. So we have a really big family, but our parents didn't really have access to a lot of money. The types of jobs that they did, was a lot of immigrant labor, wage-based work. And so I ended up going off to college on a scholarship just because of the academic and also need-based financial aid that was available to me. But what I realized was when I got to college, I thought like, oh, a scholarship is going to pay for everything, so I don't have to worry about money. And what I didn't realize was paying for textbooks, paying for school supplies, getting around places where I need to go, buying food when campus eateries were closed, everything, being social when you're in your 20s, like you want to go bowling, you want to go to the movies, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to go to parties. All of these things cost money that the scholarship is not going to pay for. So whether you take on student loans for college or not, money is going to be a big part of your life in young adulthood, and you need to understand the basics. So for me, I learned the hard way because I ended up getting a lot of credit cards and taking on way too much credit card debt while I was in college. And for me, there's a line that you have to draw between like responsible use of lending and borrowing money versus irresponsible. And I was definitely more on the irresponsible side. So I ruined my credit score. I had a lot of debt when I graduated. And that was for me the first entry point to learning about money. I had to learn how to fix my credit score and how to pay back the debt that I had. And I did that through, reading books and watching videos, just learning as much as I could. And now I'm able to, teach other people how to do it in my full-time job as a financial educator.
You dug into credit scores. Explain to us specifically why having like a credit score is important, and then managing if, let's say, it's not that great of a score.
That's a great question. And I think a lot of people would argue like, oh, your credit score matters so much for a lot of reasons. But the simplest way to understand why it matters is because if you have something really big that you want to purchase that you don't have enough cash to pay right up front for the whole cost, something like a car or a house or college tuition, these things cost tens of thousands of dollars, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars when we're talking about real estate, right? And so at the end of the day, most average everyday Americans, they don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash just sitting in their bank account. So they're going to need to borrow the money to pay for these things. And when you borrow money, either for a car loan, a student loan, or a home mortgage loan, it doesn't really matter. When you go to borrow money for whatever it is, they're going to look at your credit score and they're going to see, do they want to lend you money? Are you somebody that is likely to pay them back on time and in full? And the only way they're going to know that is by looking at your payments in the past. So your credit score is basically a quick way for them to see if you've done a good job paying back every loan that you borrowed in the past on time and in full. And if you miss payments or you had late payments, your credit score is going to drop. And they're going to see that reflected in your credit score and, of course, on your credit report, too. So basically, you want to make sure you keep a good credit score, because when you need to borrow money, they're going to look at that score and decide if they want to lend you or not. And even if you have a bad credit score, they may still decide to lend you money, but they're going to charge you way higher fees than somebody else who's borrowing the same amount of money as you. But if they have a better credit score, then they're going to pay less in fees. They're going to get a better deal. So it's really important to keep that credit score in good condition so you don't end up paying more money than you have to when you need to borrow.
Let's jump into budgeting. College students, we have books, pay for social activities.
Yep.
What are good tips in terms of creating a budget? Like, what should we ask ourselves in making that and creating something that fits?
It's such a good question. And I'll tell you the truth. I think most college students don't budget. That's the biggest mistake that I think college students make. They just don't have a budget. And so I would say number one thing is to just actually create one. And, there's so many resources online. Obviously, I'm biased because I work at NGPF as my full-time job. So I would say ngpf.org has some amazing resources for how to even just get started with a basic budget. Some spreadsheet budgets. We even have an activity for college students specifically to make a college budget. But at the end of the day, what I would say is sometimes we focus on the dollar amount. So like, all right, next month, I'm going to see if I can spend $75 only on, clothes or shoes. But instead of focusing on the dollar amount, what we really should be focusing on is the percentage. So if I make $500 this month and I spend $50 this month on food and clothes, or like on clothes and shoes, that right there is telling me I'm spending 10% of what I earned to buy clothes and shoes. Is 10% a good percentage to spend on these things, or is it too high? Or is it too little? Like, can I put a little bit more? So focusing on the percentage, because what I didn't realize when I was in college is I was spending a huge percentage of my monthly income that I had, even though it wasn't a lot. I was wasting so much of it, buying clothes, buying shoes, paying for food, when I had access to free meals in the cafeteria, but I would just go and buy Starbucks anyway, or I would go and buy Chipotle and go and buy pizza anyway. But when you start adding up those amounts of money and you see that you're taking away 50-60% of the money that you are making in a month to buy these things, it hurts. And you realize like, oh wow, I didn't know I was spending so much of my money just on food. If you add it all up, it'll be a big eye opener. Like, it's such a big eye opening experience to give you, like, you know, wake up and smell the coffee. If you keep doing this, you're always going to be in that cycle where you feel like you don't have enough money. So it just gives you a realistic picture of where the money is coming in from that you're earning and where the money is going out, and make sure that you have percentages that are realistic and that you're not spending too much in some categories and then, you know, ignoring other categories.
Great. Any final tips you can provide for us? I know, especially when it comes to savings as well. Any specific quantity of numbers that we should think about and having in our bank account?
Yeah. I mean, for saving monthly, I think the experts, all the financial experts, they try to save 10 to 15% of your income. But that's kind of hard to do when you're in college because you have a lot of expenses. Like, you got to buy textbooks, you got to buy, you know, a laptop, you have to buy a lot of things. And you may also have student loan debt as well. So I would say the two tips that I would give for college students right now who are trying to save money and who have a budget is, number one is to make sure that when you're looking at your savings account and your budget, that you're looking at the specific types of accounts that actually help you save money. Bank accounts that charge you fees just don't make sense. So if you have a checking account that charges you overdraft fees, you know, in your budget, you might have the goal to save a certain amount. But then if you go below your balance and your bank account charges you $35 or $36 in fees, it's going to be impossible for you to be able to reach your savings goals and stick to your budget if you're constantly getting, you know, fees taken out of your account. So you should have a bank account that does not have overdraft fees. If your bank does currently charge that, you can call up your bank and tell them to cancel those fees. So definitely do that. Be proactive about making sure you don't have those unnecessary fees. And the second thing I would say is get ahead of your debt. One of the things people do in college, they wait until they graduate to then say, oh, let me see if I have student loans that I need to pay back 6 months after college graduation. Don't wait until 6 months after college graduation, because every day that you leave those student loans unpaid, interest is accruing, which means that you owe more money every day that you don't send money. So what I would say is actually log into your student loan portals now while you're in college. And even if you can send $10 a month or $15 a month, it can knock off the interest fees that are growing in your student loan portals. And that way, when you graduate, you only need to pay back what you originally borrowed, and you don't let that original amount that you borrowed grow plus interest over time. So that's a huge hack that, I mean, I know a lot of people tell me that I wish I knew that when I was in college. I would have logged in and sent $20 a month, because it will save you thousands of dollars over the course of the 4 years that you're in college.
Definitely. So you heard that, everyone. Start now and start paying back now, because it'll make a big difference. Thank you so much, Yaneli, for these awesome tips. It's never too late to start a financial educational journey. For more tips and tricks on finances, please subscribe to Yaneli's channel at Miss Be Helpful. She's also on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you, Yaneli, and until next time, I'm Natalie Lato here on Higher TV.
Hi, welcome to Higher TV. I'm your host, Amy Bay, and today we will be discussing COVID-19 with our guest who previously had COVID and will also share his experience dealing with the virus. Please welcome Saul Benga. Thank you for joining us, Saul.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. So let's jump right in. So how did you find out you were exposed to COVID-19, and when did all of this happen?
Yes, I was in Gambia during the pandemic. So I left Banjul end of March. I didn't take the vaccine then, because by then, you know, I don't think we even had any vaccines in the country, you know, as a third world country. But I took the PCR test, and I went via Dakar to fly on Delta to New York. I was fine because I tested negative. But when I arrived, somehow I thought I was, for almost 5, 6, 7 days, I thought it was just a jet lag. I was just tired, just sleeping. And since my wife works, my wife is in the healthcare system, she advised, why don't you go and get tested? So I went and get tested. Lo and behold, I tested positive. And I was fine. They told me to just quarantine, stay away from everyone. I was fine for the first 5 days, and then the serious symptoms start kicking in. I was having such a hard time breathing, and by the sixth day, I couldn't even walk, so I had to call 911. The ambulance came and they took me to St. John's Hospital, where, thank God, I'm quote unquote in the best of health. I was a good candidate for the monoclonal antibody infusion. So they gave it to me, gave me some drips because I was so dehydrated. And fortunately, I was discharged the whole day and told to continue quarantining.
That's good. And I'm glad that you got better and stuff.
Thanks.
Yeah. hmm And how did you feel about taking the COVID vaccine?
You know, I'm since when I was in Gambia, I was into the let me wait until after a year when all the blind studies, the peer review comes out, and before I take it. But then I didn't have a choice because since I wanted to go back to Gambia, I had to take it, and I would advise people to take it because see, you don't know until it hits you, and certainly if you have the worst symptoms, so it's worth it. It's worth to take.
I'm glad that you're on board about influencing people to take the COVID vaccine. That really helps a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you better be safe than sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
hmm Yeah.
even back home in Africa, I mean, I had lots of close family members that passed away because of the COVID. I mean, most of them they had underlying conditions like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other things. And then others, it was just I don't know, man. I wish they just believe it, especially in Africa, like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that all of that what you said is very true. Mhm. And lastly, before we wrap things up, since you're completely vaccinated, how do you plan to be safe and protected while possibly traveling to Gambia in December?
Oh no, even here in America, like I go to work out, I have my mask on. The moment I step out of the house, even taking out the garbage, I wear my mask, stay away from crowds, and just do the this common sense approach. I avoid big crowds, and even when I go up there, even when I was in Gambia, no, there's no way. I pray at home. I don't go to the mosque. No funeral, no christenings. But I plan to just stay safe,
hmm
avoid all the crowds, and
Yeah,
just do the best I can.
that's
Stay
good.
safe.
Yes, yes, stay safe. That's very important.
Yeah,
And I'm glad that you're very positive about it. That really helps.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Saul, for joining our segment today.
You're welcome. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Amy.
Thank you. Once again, I'm your host, Amy Bay. See you next time on Higher TV.